Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dota Yoshi, joined here today by Xalorith. Xalorith, how are you?
I'm doing quite well, how are you?
I am quite spiffy this evening, and tonight we are watching a match on the Cybergamer Ladder between iCy and Tesla Electrix. Tesla will be challenging iCy for their 27th position on the ladder, and so far, each team, they've recently played off against each other, and I believe Tesla came out on top over here. So now they're going up against a rematch, and we'll see how everything turns out. Can iCy grab one game back off Tesla? Well, we'll see how everything pans out, I should say. iCy so far have burnt out that Batrider, and over on Tesla we've got that Nyx Assassin taken out.
Yeah, these are some fairly common bans right here. We might see that Lifestealer as well get banned out quite early. He's fairly common to see banned out or picked up in the early phases of the drafting. We can also see some things like, a Visage, since he's quite a strong offlaner, or that Shadow Demon, which are some strong pickups for the early drafting phases. And we see that Darkseer, who's a common offlane hero, so nothing too surprising so far.
And sometimes you like to see teams pick up their supports early on because then it reduces the amount of what the opposition team can take up. We will see those two fantastic supports of the Darkseer, who is ran in that offlane, but usually tends to be the support with the mechanism, early mechanism, and that Shadow Demon taken out. So he will combine well with any hero, and then during on the later game, his disruption becomes very potent. Especially when you can take their enemy carry and then grab your own illusions, and then that will be dealing, I think it's 30, no not 30, about 70% of their damage into illusions. So he's a very strong hero, and then he can combo well with heroes such as Jakiro, the Lina, Leshrac. So one of the strongest heroes in the game is a support who did get taken out. We do see that Lifestealer being picked up on iCy. Very hard to gank early on. He's Rage, he's in that Magic Immune form which has been slightly nerfed recently. It used to be duration of 6 at all levels, is now 3, 4, 5, 6. So early on he is more vulnerable to getting killed and ganked if he's caught out of position, so he can't just rage up and walk away to the tower. And over on Tesla we see that Bane and Juggernaut being picked up. Bane is always that direct counter to Juggernaut. You can get that Enfeeble on him, you can get the Fiend Script, you can just lock down Lifestealer in so many different ways.
Yeah, I quite like this Bane pickup that they've chosen there, and the Juggernaut as well complements him very well. We do see that Magnus get picked up, and Magnus is actually a hero that sort of dropped off the metagame recently, ever since he's been nerfed with the Bottle Crow, but also his ultimate does less damage, and we also see that Gyrocopter banned out. So no Gyro play this game, and Gyrocopter is quite a strong hero, can play in the off lane depending on who he's up against. But yep, no, we're seeing this game, and we'll see how Tesla reacts to this.
And that Juggernaut, his healing ward is fantastic. Usually when you create a team composition, you want someone who's got a heal at some stage of the game, and with Juggernaut being your carry and he can throw out that healing ward, you can push towers quite fast. If you want to go for a very early pushing strategy, you can get that healing ward going, you have a Leshrac or other heroes to come through with you, and you can go get those towers down quite early. And also throughout the entire game, because it heals a percentage of health, it will be very extremely effective if left up, and if iCy doesn't take it down, that healing ward can get it up to 300-400 heals off in a fight, effectively winning the fight because they just don't die. They just get that much more tankier.
Definitely, and that healing wall can also just help you push out some early towers if you can. But yeah, also excellent in team plays, which iCy seems to be going for more of that sort of a 5-man Dota, considering they picked up that Magnus. I'm quite curious to see how they play this Magnus, because he might be in the off lane or he might be in the mid lane.
And we see that Nature's Prophet, Rubik being banned out, and that Lone Druid. So Tesla are trying to restrict any possible tower pushing abilities on the side of iCy, and that split push capabilities of that Lone Druid and that Nature's Prophet. Tesla do not want iCy to be able to free roam on the stage, because if you have Nature's Prophet farm in one lane, you can have that lifesteal on another lane, and then the lanes are pushed out where Tesla, it looks to be they might want to start picking up and working early on in the game, try and shut down these heroes before they start getting effective, such as that lifesteal. I mean, he is effective later on mid-game. Early, not so much. He has an open wounds, but that's about it. So that Queen of Pain is being picked up on the side of Tesla. This gives them great roaming ability on the side of Tesla. You have that Queen of Pain. It's got great burst in team fights, and early on, if you go for that early Shadow Strike, you can get a lot of one-on-one kills. You can harass the opponent out of lane, and against the Magnus, Queen of Pain generally wins that lane. They can get the damage out, they can harass more effectively, and then you can get to the runes before that opposing Magnus can come across. So we'll see if iCy wants to pick up a dedicated mid, or they will run that Magnus in mid lane.
Yeah, I get the feeling that iCy have to be very careful with who they decide to run in that mid, because Queen of Pain is one of the strongest mid game heroes, particularly with that bottle crow nerf happening recently. She has such great rune control with that blink. We do see the Miranda pick up, and that's a very interesting choice. Her ultimate can help set up ganks for your team, but it can also help them get out of tricky situations. The only problem with her is that arrow. It is a skill shot, and it's not the easiest things to land, but if you do land it, you can certainly cause some problems.
So Queen of Pain is an interesting choice. I love a Queen of Pain because it opens up your lineup. I mean, she can be run in a semi-carry position, she can run in support, she could even just be run in the third. If you just want to have her roam around the map, or you can have her in a lane to farm up. She's a very great utility hero and offers a lot to your team. She's got a good burst damage, she's got a great stun if you can land it, and that ultimate, as you said, it's fantastic for being able to gank teams, roam around the map, and just completely makes Tesla have to buy these counter revelations, and it will force their support to be just that much poorer during the games, because if they have to keep buying $200 wards here and there, throwing them around the map, always in fear of that constant chance of Mirana throwing down her Moonlight Shadow, then iCy, their supports are going to be, no, not iCy, sorry, Tesla's supports are going to be poor. They won't be able to pick up any very efficient items such as their mechanism, or they won't even be able to get more utility items such as that Force Staff or Yields. And we see that Venomancer, so they're looking to be very aggressive early on. You have your Bane Venomancer. Venomancer's got the strongest level 1 slow in the game, and it does a lot of damage. For 15 seconds, you are slowed by 50%, taking a lot of damage. That is very, very ridiculously strong. We don't see him too much these days, because once the opposition picks up their BKBs, if they go down that route, then Venomancer becomes basically nullified. But until then, Venomancer is going to be a very strong laning hero in support with that Bane. However, I don't think they'll be wanting to go up against that lifesteal. I think they'll be doing aggressive tri-lane against iCy's aggressive tri-lane. They'll be able to find kills, because lifesteal's just going to be able to rage it up and then dodge every possibility or any damage output from that Venomancer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Venomancer also, with the help of those wards, can help push some of those towers in the earlier stages of the game. I mean, they don't do a ton of damage, but every little bit counts. And, you know, those towers early on, it just helps boost the entire team. But we'll see how iCy decide to react to this. They still have quite a variety of supports they can pick up. Visage is still on the board if they decide to go for something like that, and he wouldn't be too bad of a choice. I mean, Venomancer is quite fragile, so that Soul Assumption, if you end up going in a sort of try versus try situation, that Soul Assumption can deal a ton of damage. Tesla, on the other hand, they still need their offlane hero. Queen of Pain can be played in offlane, but with this sort of lineup, it looks like she'll be played in the mid. Instead, I say pick up a Jakiro, and Jakiro is a nice support hero. That Ice Path is quite good in the early game, and when you've got this Magnus on your team as well, if you can set up that macro pie, you can deal a ton of damage in team fights.
Definitely, and it's really nice. iCy's lineup, they're still quite open. I mean, you can run the Mirana as a semi-carry at the moment and run her in 2, or she can be a support with Jakiro, and you can pick up another semi-carry of your own. iCy, they've got their cards open. They can go down either one of 2 routes, so it's up to them how they want to run it out and what they think's best and most effective against the Tesla's current lineup. And Tesla, they're looking very aggressive early on. We might even see their offlane carry, what's it called, complement this. There's a few heroes. You can get a Windrunner, you can rotate her out early, and those shackles early on. That's a 4-second shackle you can possibly get to a tree, and that's just a lot of lockdown you have there. You might even want to get another. What are some other good offlane heroes? Come to think of it, which would complement this aggressive lineup.
Well, they can pick up something like a Weaver, who does quite well in just about against anyone in a offlane situation, but you know that Shikuchi can help jump into fights and whatnot. Weaver's quite an aggressive hero. They can also pick up something like a Clockwork, who's a very ganky hero with that hook shot, but we'll see exactly how they decide to play that.
And that's the one hero I just thought of as you were mentioning that, is that Clockwork. Once he hits that level 6 from soaking in that XP, he can start his movement around the map, start rotating and jumping, and you were correct with that Weaver. Weaver will be run in that off lane, or so you would expect, and he will start soaking up those levels and start getting whatever he can early on. He should be next to unkillable, especially with that time lapse and Sakuchi can get out of there, and this is great because this also forces iCy on the other hand to buy Revelations and force their supports to be quite gold starved throughout the game, and they do pick up a Treant Protector of their own, so that's very strong. He's got that living armor, so I wouldn't expect to see anyone on iCy dying too early, because that living armor with its 3 damage instant stacks, which did get nerfed from 7 at all levels down to I think it was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there, but it's very strong and it'll continue to be very useful throughout the game. And to introduce the teams over on Tesla, we have Captain Kirk will be playing their captain's position on that Queen of Pain, who will be running mid. We have their supports of Swartzy and Chris playing that Venomancer and Bane respectively. Over on that Weaver we have Joker, and finally we have on the Juggernaut we have Crestfallen.
And on the side of iCy, we have the captain Raccoon playing the lifesteal. We have the Jakiro being played by 4649. Rhino will be played by Pond. Crotch Shot will be played. We'll be playing that Magnus. And last but not least, we have the Treant being played by Mo Lester.
So it looks like we will be seeing a possible engagement in this forest of the Radiant side. They might both be trying to bait each other. They've just spotted each other due to the daytime vision, and the pings go find out. We'll see which team wants to be aggressive. We have Magnus throwing through his shockwave. Sakuchi comes flying through. He might be caught out a little bit out of position. Now there's Ice Puff comes out. It hits on 2. Bane throws out a few auto attacks. Now they're throwing a few more on Mirana, but both teams, they've decided to just back off. Tesla, unfortunately, they had 2 heroes not quite there with him at the time, and they could have done a lot more if all 5 heroes were there. Gale comes out and they could have found a kill or 2, but then it was a nice ice puff by that Jakiro to defuse the situation and make sure the rest of his team was able to get out alive.
Yeah, that was a good disengagement there from iCy. Surprised that Bane didn't pick up just a early level Nightmare just to maybe lock down the hero, so that way, no matter what, it would have been hard for them to disengage that. But nonetheless, we'll just see the teams splitting back into their own lane. And we'll be the Mirana in the mid lane.
It's going to be a little disappointing for Crotch Shot. He's going to miss the first wave of creep XP up on this top lane. He's running through that mid to try and get up there now. Weaver's going to be able to grab all those XP and be able to get going. And this is what Weaver wanted. He wanted to be up against this Magnus. He's got a lane to himself to free farm and get these early levels up. And he'll be able to start working on his items faster. If he was against the Tri-Lane, I believe iCy, they could have done a lot more harassment, a lot more damage. They have the counter revelations on that tree, so they'd be able to do a lot of damage to this Weaver. However, they're going Tri-Lane against Tri-Lane and they have to be really careful. If one Nightmare, as you said, comes out by Chris, then it could be all over with a follow-up Gale. So this Tri-Lane on both sides is going to be a really touch and go. If one side makes a mistake, they're going to capitalize and First Blood will go over to the other team.
Yeah, definitely. And both of these teams have to be pretty careful in these early stages. You don't really want to give out First Blood, of course, to the opposition. You know, this Weaver, as you were saying, is going to have a nice time picking up those early XP and last hits as Magnus wasn't in the lane. So it sucks for him. Magnus up against the Weaver is a tough situation to be dealing with regardless, and when you've already lost a wave of creeps, it's a little bit tough.
And surprisingly enough, Magnus gets in the lane and he's sitting on the same XP as that Weaver. So, don't know what's going there. He should have missed out on a full creep wave there, but Magnus apparently caught back up in XP and is not going to lose too much there, so that's very nice on that Magnus's part. Over in mid lane, however, we have that Queen of Pain doing a lot of damage to the Mirana early on. Mirana was down to about 119 HP from that Shadow Strike of Queen of Pain and auto attacks following up, and now Mirana's got that 1 point in leap. She shouldn't be dying too soon unless Queen of Pain goes very aggressive, starts building up that Shadow Strike and goes for the early kills early on. Queen of Pain has to play very defensively or she will get caught off guard. She's getting hit by those living armors from her teammate of Lester, and she'll be fine. We have a Bane's Nightmare coming out onto the Jakira. Jakira's in a lot of trouble. Gale comes flying through. Open Wounds comes flying down to the Bane. Bane might fall first. The Ice Puff comes through. It's not going to do any damage, and Juggernaut will pick up that kill. Actually, we'll go to that Bane. Bane will fall for his efforts, and now it's a 2v2. Who will come out top? Lifesteal wants to find more, but he's not going to be able to do it. The treats and the TP supports of their supports will be coming back in the lane. So, very nice initiation on the side of Tesla, and as I said, once that Bane makes his move and that Gale comes through, you're not getting out of there unless you're the Lifestealer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was a nice engagement there from Tesla. Picking up that first blood, good work there by them. So with that early advantage, they should be feeling relatively comfortable that Juggernaut, you know, he survived there. They did lose the Bane, but that's not too bad. I mean, it's always not horrible to lose your support, particularly when you get a first blood.
So, a little bit of gold graph at the moment, as there's not too much going on. Both sides have been a little bit passive, waiting for their opportunity to come out. We have the gold graph sitting on about 500 gold in favour of Tesla, and then the XP is going in favour of iCy. So, the last hitting ability is going for Tesla, and that first blood did come out and help him give that little boost. So they're going to be quite happy there. We might start seeing that improve once these supports start rolling in, especially with this Weaver once he starts picking up a few more of these creep kills and starts working his way up the board. He's only got 4 for 1 against the Magnus, who's in 9 for 5. So Magnus is doing a fantastic job denying this Weaver and picking up the last hits of himself. So look to see a very early Arcane Boots and Blink up on that Magnus if he is left untouched. Especially if this Queen of Pain wants to sit in mid and start getting some of her early items, such as possibly go straight for an early Orchid. We see a Bane throwing down that Nightmare onto the Lifesteal. Lifesteal's in a lot of trouble. We'll see a Gale possibly followed up straight after. We do have a Rage by Raccoon. Raccoon's not using that Rage, and Raccoon will fall. However, he does not have that Rage skilled up, which is a very big blunder, especially against this tri-lane of Tesla. He's got 2 points in that Open Wounds, 1 point in Feast, and no points in Rage, and that's very harsh, especially once you get to Nightmare and a Gale. You'll get taken down that easily, and now he falls, and now iCy Arena are losing the bottom lane. It's until he picks up that Rage, Lifesteal is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And you know, this Magnus is, as you were saying before, he's doing quite well in terms of last hits. Weaver's actually quite a little bit behind, but the only problem with this is that Magnus, because he doesn't have that bottle, he's not in that mid lane. He does have some mana problems. He won't be able to spam that shockwave as much as he'd like, and we see that the train is using a lot of those living armor cooldowns onto Magnus.
So the Trinity Protector is doing a fantastic job so far, keeping all his supports alive. And that last engagement when they dived onto that Lifesteal, unfortunately he'd just recently given away his what's it called? I just forgot it. A living armor. He'd given away his living armor onto another hero in another lane, and then Raccoon had no stacks to be able to absorb that damage and got taken out. But Raccoon needs to find his Rage early on, especially since Tesla knows since that Rage did not get popped, they should know this Lifesteal doesn't have it and look to be very aggressive against him. Try and force him not to get that level 4. Make sure he doesn't pick up a level in Rage, and they can find a few more kills on any of those heroes down in bottom lane if they just so desire. And the supports of iCy, they should be trying to stay as far out of this lane as possible and give Raccoon this XP to get him that Rage, because without that Rage, he's in a lot of trouble. And we have that Bane already rotating around. He was thinking about it. He's going to throw out the Nightmare. They found the Bane. Bane throws out the Nightmare. The fellow heroes of Tesla are coming in. We have Swartz. He's got a miss on the Gale, and that's possibly a kill that's not going to be able. Will there be a nice creep off? Doesn't get the spin off. Great Ice Puff. We see a living armor being thrown out into the tree. Spin coming flying through, but they will find that pick off onto that tree. So that's another kill going in favour of Tesla on this tri-lane. Juggernaut's got 2 assists and 1 kill, and he's sitting happily on top of the leaderboards with 2200 gold. He's got his phase boots, and he's going to start working towards his next big item.
Yeah, for a second there I thought that that they might not be able to capitalize on kills there. That was a missed Venomous Gale, and the Bane was quite a way ahead of his ally. Nonetheless, they do manage to pick up that kill on Treant, so very well played there by Tesla. We see the Queen of Pain rotated to the top lane, but unfortunately unable to really capitalize on anything.
So see iCy, they've just pinged out. They know there's a ward down here, so they're going to be a little bit defensive down on their bottom lane, because they know the ward's been placed. They'll be looking to counter ward that very shortly. You do have 2 counter wards up on that Train Protector, so see that very get rid of quite shortly, and that should give Tesla the idea that they have a ward, that iCy has a ward down here. So we'll see how the warding game goes down on the bottom map at the moment. And speaking of warding, we have Chris throwing up a aggressive ward in mid to give vision of the rune and that ramp if Mirana wants to try anything sneaky or have any rotation in front of that Magnus. And speaking of sneaky, we have a smoke gank up on bottom lane from iCy. They've got 4 heroes down here. Magnus has his RP up ready to go. Will he be able to capitalize? There's 2 heroes down here of that Juggernaut and that Venomancer. They're all getting in position. We should see a charge in very shortly. Queen of Pain's board up. They're still thinking about it, and the smoke has been shown by that Magnus. They know the Magnus is down here. The 2 heroes are already rotating back behind this tower, and that is very unfortunate for Magnus. He walked in too far, popped that smoke, and now Tesla, they're going to be fine and dandy behind this tower.
Yeah, they're gonna. It'd be very dangerous here for iCy to run in when the heroes of Tesla have backed off so far. We do see a bit of a rotation here from Tesla's own heroes. We've got Queen of Pain and Bane incoming. It looks like they're not going to go all the way around to the aggressive side. They're just going to play a little bit defensively here. And we should see the teams disengage. There we go. We do see a teleport from Magnus back out into the top lane.
So unfortunately there was a little bit of 2 heroes misplayed there. Magnus popped that smoke early on, and they knew they had that Tesla had a ward here. They didn't decide to de-ward it or anything, and then once that smoke got popped, they knew that it was game over, and they waited a little bit longer. We see an initiation to the Jakiro. The Gale will miss, but they've got more than enough damage here to come through and finish off the Jakiro, who got left in the river by his teams trying to throw up that ward to help him out. But now Tesla know there's a ward there, and they're going to be. They can either use it to their advantage to try and bait heroes there, or they can just counter ward it and get rid of any vision on the side of iCy, as that's their only ward currently up on the map.
Yeah, I mean they have their own ward there, so even if iCy try to do some sneaky plays, they'll know it's going on, which helped them spot that smoke gank just before. We see this Weaver actually still behind the Magnus, but caught up in terms of last hits. Now is pretty much ahead of any other of the players from iCy. Should certainly be happy with that, and she's level 8, so pretty much unkillable at this point with both the time lapse and the Shikuchi, unless they really get some revelation, some of the sentry ward.
We have Magnus has got enough, and he just picks up his Arcane Boot, so he's going to be good with mana. We have a TP coming in from the Bane. He's going to pop his Soaring, he's going to throw down the Nightmare, and they're going to have a great position on this Magnus. Magnus does have skewer. You have those heroes already rotating in. Queen of Pain comes in to help finish off the jug. Mirana's Moonlight comes out, but will it be enough for this Magnus? Nice Sonic Wave. Will the tick damage of that Shadow Strike be able to finish him off? He's ticking down. There's still 10 seconds left. He pops that wand, and he should be fine to go. But he does get out of there. Nice Moonlight Shadow by that Mirana, keeping him alive. So a little bit good communication going on the side of iCy. And he will back off. This top tower is in grave danger for these 4 heroes that have rotated top. If they don't wish to get this tower, they're going to waste a lot of time, but they look like they're going to go for it. Venomancer doesn't have any wards to help out on the tower, but they should have more than enough damage to go to eat through that tower at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. We actually see the Lifestealer going into the jungle. He's only level 4, and his farm's not doing too good either. He's only sitting on 17 last hits. If you look at his net worth, it's just under 2k, and compare that to the Juggernaut, who's sitting at 3.7. That's a massive lead. He certainly hasn't been in his game so far.
That's for sure. And this early aggressive lineup by Tesla is paying dividends. They won the tri lane quite substantially with getting those 3 kills, 1 on that Lifestealer, and that shut him down hard. And speaking of that tri lane down bottom, Juggernaut picks up an Omni slash kill onto that Jakiro, who was caught in between creep waves. He was even further up than his Treant Protector, so the 2 supports down bottom were not good enough to try and survive against that Lifestealer. I mean, against that Juggernaut, and Juggernaut will pick up another kill, skyrocketing his farm even further to 4.4k, and he's sitting on almost double the highest net worth of any person on the side of iCy at the moment. So iCy, it looks like they need to try and group up as 5 and start trying to work on some of these towers and getting some aggression back. We have Magnus, he's going against this Weaver. Weaver time lapses. Magnus throws out his RP. Will he have enough damage? He needs one more shockwave. Will he be able to get that lucky shockwave? He's walking down. Weaver's trying to juke back, and Weaver could be in a lot of trouble if Magnus does throw out that random shockwave, but a nice TP back home, and he's going to get out of there quite fine. So Magnus forces him out of the lane to start working on some more of his farm, but he wastes an RP to do with it. The arrow's going to miss on mid lane. Queen of Pain's turn around, throws out that Shadow Strike. It's only level 1, so Mirana shouldn't take too much damage, and that living armor should basically negate any of that damage taken by that Shadow Strike.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta say though, this Mirana has been really controlling most of this river in terms of rune. We've seen Queen of Pain maybe pick up 2 runes this entire game, whereas Mirana's been picking up the rest. So well played there by her, considering Queen of Pain is generally the one you see picking up that rune advantage. So yeah, well played by her. She's been controlling her lane quite well. Isn't in front of the Queen of Pain in terms of net worth, but that's not too surprising considering Tesla do have that tower, and Queen of Pain's been moving around the map to help set up some kills and whatnot.
Mm. And it does look to be that they will be trying to get as much farmers on Mirana as possible at the moment because their lifesteal is quite far behind. Actually,
We have an
lifesteal's
engagement here in bottom. Jakiro falling to that Juggernaut with the help of that spin and the Bane as well there.
Fortunately, I missed that. Interrupt me earlier. So,
Yeah.
so they did grab kill down bottom, and this should mean the tower. That healing ward's popped, and that tower is going to go down quite fast. And as I was just saying a little bit earlier, the Mirana, they will be trying to put as much farm into Mirana as possible at the moment because lifesteal is set back a little bit. He's not too far behind Mirana herself, but he's still quite far behind with that 300 gold. We have an arrow come flying through. Will it hit on this Queen of Pain? No, it just missed. So not going to be able to capitalize on there. And we do have that Weaver walking through the jungle, trying to find any little supports he can find in the jungle where that Jakiro, his life's just safe. Weaver's turning back around, he's coming in, he's looking for this lifesteal, hits the lifesteal rages up, and the lifesteal is going to be in a lot of trouble. The ice path miss. Weaver turns around, get those auto attacks off. He's got another Gemini hit in a second, and that's the death of the lifestealer. And now we have Queen of Pain rotating in, maybe looking to pick off that Jakiro. He's not going to go into it. They're going to turn back around, they're going to look for it. They know there's 3 heroes down in bottom line. They can see him due to that daylight vision, but Jakiro will get out of there. So a little bit of a blunder in that jungle, and they're going to miss out on the kill. Juggernaut, however, he is running for his life as his fellow support Bane has been picked off by the Magnus. Auto attacks coming onto the Juggernaut. Shockwave just going to miss, and Juggernaut's going to be able to get out of there. He had a few charges left. The arrow's going to come through. It hits on the Venomancer. Swartzy's going to fall to the auto attacks of Pond. No, he's not. And then Swartzy will get out of there. Pond's going to have to retreat. Almost loses her own life to that Weaver. And Joker's coming in straight now with that Sakuchi, trying to find whatever he can. Mirana's popping that cell, trying to heal up as quickly as possible. And so does the Treant Protector. He's healing himself up at the same time. Now we've got to fight looming on the bottom line. We have 4 heroes on the side of Tesla against 3 on iCy. They're missing 2 of their heroes, 2 of their big time hidden heroes here. You've got the Jakiro now TPing in with that ice path, and this is going to be very helpful for him if he can land that, whilst the lifesteal's on top trying to find whatever little farm he can get.
Yeah, definitely. And very close there, Pond almost falling near that tower against the Weaver, and I'm glad that she decided to back off because I'll hold that forward. We've got initiation here on Jakiro, takes the Nightmare and the Venomous Gale. There's a spin, Ice Path, not unfortunately unable to stop the Juggernaut, and that's going to be an easy kill there for Tesla for no loss so far. But they're still going. Actually, the Fiends group on Magnus, and he's got nothing now. He's low mana, but the Mirana will be able to pick off the Weaver, and Magnus is still alive. There's the ulti popped as well from... Oh wow, well played there by iCy, able to pick off 2 relatively easy kills, and Mirana's still chasing. Will she be... No, there's the Omni Slash, and well, one more hit. Yeah, she will fall.
A little bit aggressive coming out by Pond there. He thought he could take more. Once he got hit by that Gale, he needed to turn around and back off. Once you get hit by any kind of Gale, that means you're slowed by 50%. You're taking a lot of damage, especially at level 4 Gale. You need to get out of there. However, he stayed around. Juggernaut had his Omni Slash just come off cooldown and took advantage and found a kill onto that Mirana. Something that iCy could not withstand at this kind of stage of the game. And yeah, they're going to fall further behind with that tier 1 tower down in bottom lane getting destroyed. Map position in favour of Tesla completely. They can get anywhere on the map pretty much instantly with their tier 1s up and running. And Queen of Pain will be bottling a double damage. She's picked up 1 Oblivion stuff, so she will be looking forward to that Orchid Malevolence. And that's going to be very deadly against the side of iCy. Pop it on any one of their heroes, and they're theoretically completely disabled as most of them all rely on their spells.
Yeah, definitely, and I feel like that once they got those 2 kills in the bottom lane, they should have just backed off. Pond's actually going to send off an arrow. It's going to miss just slightly, but yeah, and you know, it would have been fine if they just got those 2 kills and Pond got away. But when your Mirana's is the most farmed on your team, essentially, the Magnus is there as well, but he can't really carry in this game. But yeah, when your Mirana's the most farmed and she dies, it's not a good... Oh, I'll look that forward. We've got an initiation. Nice RP. The Ice Path's not quite good, but doesn't matter. Juggernaut still falls. And so does the Venomancer. Well played there by iCy, capitalizing 2 kills for nothing.
Very nice RP coming out by Crotchshot. Grabs those 2 heroes. I think it was just on the side of that Ice Puff, so that they did get hit by that Ice Puff stun as well. And they were able to capitalize. Pond, once again, almost being caught out of position. If that Nightmare was thrown down instead of that Brain Sap, as they've both got the same range, that would have been a kill onto that Pond, especially with that Sakuchi coming through and the Brain Sap to follow it up. However, a little bit of a Misskill coming out by Chris, and they're going to survive. Pond once again running in very aggressive, and he will find himself killed to the Fiend script and auto attacks of Kirk with that double damage. And now Jakira's in a lot of trouble, but Raccoon will chase Kirk off, and Kirk's going to have to run away.
Yeah, so unfortunately they lost the tier 1 tower there and their Mirana. Not what iCy need. I mean, they had those 2 kills, which is awesome, but unfortunately Tesla just doing really well to maintain control of this game so far, and it looks like they're going to do quite a bit of damage here on this tier 2. They might actually be able to get it here. The Mirana is still down, and there's nothing to really contest them so far.
At the moment, Tesla, because they got that very early game advantage, this healing ward it's only level 1, but it's healing them up, and they'll be able to push the towers. We have the Nightmare coming out onto that lifesteal, but he's able to rage up straight as it's dispelled, dodges the damage or any follow-up initiation from Tesla, and they're going to have to back. So I see they're in a little bit of a problem here. They need to try and find some pickoffs to try and get back into this game. At the moment, they can't win these team fights, as Tesla, they have all the burst damage in the world. They've got the ability to pick off one heroes if they've overextended, such as Pond, who seems to be caught out in a lot of situations a lot further ahead than the rest of his team. Out of bounds, I should say, and then he'll die. Now we have iCy, they're rotating in. The arrow's going to come through, whisk past the Crips, and just misses Kirk. So they're not going to be able to find a pick off there. If that arrow landed, there would have been 1 dead Queen of Pain, and that's something that iCy would have loved to get back into this game. At the moment, if they can find a pick or 2, and then push down a tower, then they'll be able to grab some momentum back. Magnus now does have his Blink Dagger up, so look to see a very nice initiation come out by Crotchshot. If that lands, if that lands, and he finds 3 or 4 heroes, the side's going to go in favour of iCy, and they're going to be able to pull this game back out. So they're not out of it by any means, and Lifestealer now has his Midas up and running.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, iCy's only 4 kills behind. What's really killing them at the moment is those towers. They've lost all their tier 1s and their tier 2, so it's really that tower advantage that Tesla is maintaining at the moment. Kills, I mean, it's still very much in favor of Tesla, but it's not as massive as it may seem. If we do have a quick look at those items, we see Queen of Pain working towards the Orc in 11. She's already finished 1 Oblivion Staff on the way to finishing off her second. Juggernaut has that Desolator. He's also picked up a band of Elven Skin, so it looks like he might go for a Yasha next, which is to be expected, really. Weaver doesn't really have anything at the moment, sitting on 2.6k, has an Aquila and the Power Tread, so we'll see what she decides to pick up very soon, I suspect. Venomancer, typical support with Arcane and Ring of Basilisk, and Bane, of course, Soul Ring, Arcane, and just those wards. And on the opposite side though, we see a Lifestealer who just has that Midas and nothing really else to show for it. Miranda's got that Yasha, and the rest of the team besides Magnus just go and support. Magnus does have that Blink, so we should see some nice Blink RPs coming in very soon.
And that Lifestealer, with that Empower up, he just beasted through 3 stacks of that hard ancient camp, picked himself up about 800, 900 gold, and now they're looking to come down on the front tower to defend it up, make sure they're not going to lose any more of their towers, which they don't need to at the moment. And now he's coming back down to farm up a few more towers. That Empower buff's helping that Lifestealer keep up in his farm, or start working his way back into this game to do his farm. He's still 2.5k behind that Juggernaut, but Lifestealer from Midas can catch up at a moment's notice. And they've infested into that Magnus. They're looking to find a kill, but they've just revealed where that Magnus is, and they show all 4 heroes down the bottom. This should give a warning to Tesla to split push these other lanes out, and then TP in when needed. They could even, if they wanted to, keep that Queen of Pain up at top lane and trade a tier 2 tower. However, we now see them rotate back out, and so they're not going to force this fight down at bottom, which I think probably would have been for their benefit. If they could force the fight down bottom, find a great RP and an infest, and we will see an RP being bursted for probably a misclick coming out by Crotchshot, and there we go. That's wasted RP. He knows it, he calls it in chat, and now that's a very big opportunity missed. They're not going to get tier 1 tower in mid, not going to get tier 1 tower in bottom, and now Kirk, he's free to push this lane up at top, and then bottom's going to start pushing. So now Tesla, they know they've got entire map control, and they don't have to be fearful for an RP of another 80 seconds.
Dire's top tower is
Definitely,
under
but Captain
attack.
Kirk has to be a bit careful here. Do you have a race car lifesteal here? He's got that haste. Oh, no, there's a blink out. Should be fine. But the tower does not get denied.
Dire's bottom
Oh, that's
tower
really
is under
unfortunate
attack.
for iCy there. So that is a free tier 2 tower there for Tesla. They'll certainly be happy with that.
And now they're working on bottom tower because they know no RP up. They know everyone's just rotated top, so they've got a free bottom. They have all the time in the world, and they've just wiped out both those tier 2 towers. And that's purely because of that threat of the RP just got taken away from them. The biggest thing that can reverse this game just got used on the ground for no apparent reason. So they've picked up 2 tier 2 towers. They have entire map control, and if they want to, they can move on to Roshan, get the Roshan for even more gold advantage, and pick up a token along with it.
Yeah, definitely. We see Weaver picked up her Sacred Relic just then, so we might see a Radiance this game from her, which is an interesting choice. I mean, you generally don't see a Radiance up on the Weaver. You see her usually going for some more some more of those items, such as the MKB, for example, or it's just some of those earlier, more easy to get damage items. The Radiance is going to fall off in usefulness as the game goes on, but I mean, when you've got these team fights, the Radiance can dish out quite a bit of damage over the duration. So it's not a terrible choice, but it's certainly unconventional.
I actually quite like the pickup on Joker to pick up this Radiance. You have the Radiance, and that would just ruin any possibility for this Magnus to blink in. If you use Sakuchi in and just get a slight tick off onto that Magnus, he's ruined for 3 seconds and he's not going to be able to get in. He might even accidentally pop his RP once again. And Weaver, he hasn't taken too much damage this game, so he's going for that very strong aggressive build. They might find out this lifesteal. They've run into him. Lifesteal's on a load of trouble. He pops that rage. Moonlight Shadow's but he's already been feed script, and he's going to be feed script his way to death. They're even going to pop that Sonic wave to make sure he's dead. So now that's the lifesteal out of action. Lifesteal's going to fall even further behind. We see a great ward being placed by Chris, but he's out of position himself. A few more auto attacks. He pops back in for that brain sap out, and that brain sap will keep him alive. And we see the jump out by Pond, making sure he's not going to fall any further. Weaver coming through Sakuchi, not going to be able to find anything himself. And this will be a push in through the middle, push this lane out, and they're going to move on to that Roshan.
Yeah, and they should be able to get it, no problems here. It's going to be tough for iCy to contest it. They do have that Mirana, and Magnus, he does have that blink in RP, so they certainly can set something up, but it's going to be tricky here. Tesla should be able to pick this up, and then I wouldn't be too surprised if they try to push up onto a tier 3 with that token.
And it's really nice here's Tesla. They all have buyback status, so if anything happens to any of them and they need to get back into the fight, they all have buyback and they can get straight back in. That's an extra life for all of them. Whereas over on the side of iCy, because they've been gold staffed this entire game, we have the Mirana and that Magnus that they have buyback themselves, but none of the other heroes do. And they're coming through the Roshan now. They've just been spotted by Tesla's ward on the cliff, and now any chance of them finding a kill, they might find a kill on this Weaver if they come in. Arrow's gonna land, perfect arrow, great infest out, and Magnus picks up the kill in the shockwave. So Weaver being completely out of position, gets hit by a beautiful arrow by Pond. They'll find a kill. They might even want to try and get at their first tower of the game here in mid lane with that Weaver down and out of action.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like they will push that middle lane, and they rightly should. They should, rightly so. They do need some of those tier 2 towers, and Queen of Pain's up here in his top lane, but she won't be able to push it out in time. They should be able to teleport back to defend it if they have to. But so this is actually very well played by iCy. They finally got their first tier 1 and managed to pick off Weaver. So they're certainly still in this game. They certainly still have the potential teamfight advantage with the help of that Magnus and Trin and whatnot. But we'll see how it turns out. We do see iCy just blinking away and teleporting out of there.
And that was a little bit of a blunder coming out on the side of iCy there. They had 2 heroes with TPs. They had their Jakiro, and they had couldn't remember who the other hero was with the TP. But they had 2 heroes with TP, and neither of them TP'd back. Queen of Pain got 400 damage onto that tower, and that could come very, very useful later on when they keep this split pushing pressure up as they're doing at the moment. They're split pushing over the map. They have the ability to with that Weaver and Queen of Pain. And then iCy, they can't do anything about it. No single hero on the side of iCy can take out the Weaver or that Queen of Pain by themselves. Queen of Pain will jump on you, throw out that Orc Malevolence, and she'll find a kill. Weaver secures you in time-lapse and he'll just get away. It forces iCy to group up together and try and find these kills. And speaking of grouping up together, Tesla, they've grouped up, they're popping a smoke, and they're looking for more kills.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like they're gonna pick up a double damage on the way. Okay, they're just normal quiet. Never mind. And they'll, yep, they're gonna find out the lifestealer first. Will they be able to capitalize on him? Oh, nice, nice ultimate there, nice rage, and an excellent RP. That's what I'm talking about. Captures 4 heroes. There's the ultimate from Juggernaut though. Venomancer finishes off the lifestealer, and Magnus finishes off the Bane. Treant falls as well there. And now it's Magnus who's taken a ton of damage. He's currently invis, but he's taken so much of that poison damage he will fall from a right click, and that's a triple kill for Veno.
That was a fantastic RP coming out by Crotchshot. However, he got extremely aggressive then. He missed out on that kill by the Juggernaut by 50, somewhere between 10 to 50 HP, and he wanted to go and chase it down. Then he got the Queen of Pain down, and he kept chasing. Then he gave away his life to that Venomancer who was standing there with all the poisons in the world on that Magnus, and he eventually fell. Unfortunately, the Jakiro, he went for the Jewel Breath himself, and his Jewel Breath just missed both that Queen of Pain and that Juggernaut during that fight, so they missed out on the extra damage and tick coming out from that Jewel Breath, and then those 2 kills did happen to breeze past iCy as well. If they got those 2 kills, it would have been very, very nice, especially on that Juggernaut, who's sitting on 10k gold, quite higher than the rest of the side of iCy. Mirana, she's not doing too bad herself, she's sitting on 8.2, but her items, they're not doing a lot of damage. She picked up that Manta so she can survive longer. If she gets danced up, she can Manta on out of there and be able to get away without taking too much damage. But in terms of raw damage, it's not a lot. You get 15 attack speed, you get a 26 agility, but against other items such as an MKB, it's not going to do a lot of damage. It will help her survivability. Is that what they need at this point? Do they need more survivability, or do they need some more damage output?
You know, it's a bit hard to tell. I mean, it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be a little bit up to this Magnus and Jakiro to land off their good ultimates, as well as their Treant. But as you said, it's a bit of an interesting choice. Mirana, I feel like she could have gone for a little bit more of that right click damage. The Manta does help, but when you have things like Weaver and Queen of Pain with those AoEs and the Radiance, it's going to just kill off those illusions very quickly regardless. So I'm not really too sure on that Manta pickup.
And Tesla, once again, they're doing fantastic in this game with their smokes, finding picks around the map. This is what iCy should be doing, but Tesla, they're taking it to themselves. They've got the game, but they got to see it. The great positioning of this Revelation Watch just spotted at the smoke. They need to get out of here. They might even look to turn it back around on him. They're ready. Bane jumps in. He's got the Fiend Script. Moonlight Shadow's going to be popped. The Juggernaut Ultimate's taken out instantly. That Jakiro. Jakiro's not going to be any charge. We've got to charge in. RP onto 3. Nice and first coming out. We will see the Bane fall shortly after. The arrow landed on the Weaver. Weaver taking a lot of damage. Weaver will fall. Venomancer will fall shortly after. He pops that mech. Will he be able to get out of there in time? He's going to be able to... Weaver is going to get hit by that Leech Seed. Leech Seed and the auto attacks from Pond will finish him off. So 3 for 1, and that one hero took the full brunt of that Omni Slash. Fantastic play by iCy to turn this back around. They might even be able to find a tower or 2. They've got 30 seconds to make whatever they can. They could have went up top. If they have anybody, they can try and go down bottom, get both tier 1 towers. But it seems they just went into mid. There's no tier 1 tower here, so they're wasting their opportunity to try and equalize some of these towers. I think this is a little bit of a blunder coming out inside of iCy, especially if this Magnus, he got his ult off. He should be trying to push out a lane himself, but he's going back to base on full HP and close to half mana. So iCy, fantastic fight, but after the fight, I feel as if it's not what they needed to have done.
Yeah, they should have rotated to top or bottom, probably top since they were closer, and just picked off that tier 1. Instead now, on bottom, which is quite low on health, it's going to get defended by the Weaver. And... oh, yeah, Mirana just staying off an ulti, arrow there, but doesn't land on anything besides creeps. And yeah, as you were saying, it feels like a little bit of a wasted opportunity. This Queen of Pain has just pretty much been by herself in this top lane, ever since the fight. She has picked up that Mystic Staff and looks like she's going to go for the Cypher Vice, and they're rotating now in top, but it's a bit late. They're not going to get capitalized on killing her, that's for sure. They'll clear up this creep wave, but that's about it, and yeah, they really should have picked up a tier 1 tower after they picked up those 3 heroes.
Yeah, and now Tesla, they've used a bad situation to their advantage. They've just lost a complete team fight, and now they're turning it back around. They pushed out top lane. Queen of Pain got more XP and gold that she could bargain for, and you have this Weaver pushing out bottom lane. This forces iCy to once again be stuck on their side of the map, and they can't push out. Even when they win massive team fights like that, if they're not close to those towers, start pushing them down. The rest of the side of Tesla, whoever's alive, are pushing out waves to force them back into their side, and this makes them have very limited XP, limited gold, and then, but on the side of iCy, they're doing fantastic to be able to continue to throw these wards up, even in such a position where they are in. They've got wards everywhere they need to cover in all the major crucial spots, and their ward coverage from that last team fight, being able to spot out that smoke, is what pretty much won the fight from. They were all able to be there and ready to fight. And now once again they've grouped up, they're waiting, they've got an RP ready, it's only level 2, but 3 seconds is still better than no seconds. And if he can land that RP once again on all those heroes with that infest damage coming out doing, I can't currently see because lifesteal is infested, which is a little bit disappointing, but I think it's about 450 damage if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. It's going to be a lot of damage come flying out, and that more than makes up for their lack of single target damage they currently have on their side.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like they aren't able to capitalize on anything. They weren't able to spot off any heroes or anything. They don't have the greatest amount of vision. They have the river nicely warded, but they don't have, you know, for example, their own jungle or their enemy's jungle. And it looks like they're going to smoke gank and just rotate into this top lane. Weaver and Queen of Pain are already backing off though, so they might be able to catch the Weaver out here if they're able to spot her. Yeah, Treant spots her, but should be able to get out now, no worries. And that's another waste of smoke.
So, unfortunately for iCy, they're not going to be able to find anything there. Tesla, they saw those heroes in mid lane disappear off the map, and then top lane was pushing in, bottom lane's pushing in, so that basically gives away that there's a smoke or something mysterious going on. The Moonlight Shadow will be popped, but there's a nice rev ward here by Tesla, but iCy, they're not going to take it, they're going the other way. They might find out 2 heroes in the river here, there's Bane and Weaver, and they might even see an RP onto 4 here. It's going to be very careful. Great Revelation ward, still in the river. We're going to see Queen of Pain throw out that Sonic Wave. We got an RP onto 1, 2, no, blink away. Weaver's Sakuchi through him. Nice Fiend Script out. They need to get a stun off, but they don't have any stun. They're healing that Magnus straight back up with that Leech Seed. We will see Bane fall in shortly after. Jakiro will fall to that Weaver and that Radiance. He will time-lapse and get out of it. Where's the rest of the support from Tesla? They're slowly rotating in. The ultimate from that tree being used to hold him in place. Omni starts coming through, doing a lot of damage. Picks off that Mirana, picks off those illusions, and that's why Manta's not doing too well for that Mirana at the moment. And now Juggernaut, he's alone. I mean, not Juggernaut. Lifesteal's alone in the jungle. He's going to try and get out of it. He needs to rage up in TP, but he doesn't have a TP, so he's going to be picked off and auto-attacked. So, iCy and that Juggernaut picks up, Tesla and that Juggernaut pick up 4 kills, and now the Roshan is spawning in about 5 to 10 seconds. This is big, this is massive, and now iCy, they're going to be set back even further. They're currently 14k gold behind and 12k experience.
Yeah, I mean, I see. I can't see them coming back from this. It's going to be very, very difficult. They still have their heroes dead, and Tesla's certainly going to do some tier 3 damage here. It might be defended eventually. They should still have the IP, I believe. Yeah, they still have that reverse polarity, so they could try to set that up. But they don't have their main damage dealers in the Mirana and Lifesteal yet. And you know, they completely wiped out, Tesla completely wiped out iCy. They lost, I believe, 2 heroes during the entire engagement. Oh, there's an RP. It only lands on the Juggernaut though, and with that spin, it's basically taking no damage. There's the follow-up ultimate from Treant, but it's not really going to be enough to help save his team there. Magnus falls. They did get the Juggernaut kill, but nonetheless, for RP and two other ultimates, it's hardly worth it, especially when they lost their own as well.
Yeah, and especially with that last fight, that shows if they can't get an RP off, they can't win the fight, they can't win the game. And once that RP and the entire side of Tesla started splitting up, that should have been their cue to try and regroup, get out of there, and maybe force the side of Tesla to group up and start searching for iCy themselves and try and bait them out. We see a Fiend Script in middle here with a Weaver doing a lot of damage to Pond. Pond's gonna fall, no backup, and will get taken out from a nice Fiend Script and Weaver with that Radiance. But iCy, they need to pick their fights. If the last fight they decided to try and bait them out and force Tesla to group up together and start searching for iCy, they could have came back around, got a nice RP, and then could have won that fight down in Tesla's jungle. However, they didn't get that RP off. They stayed around to fight, even though they lost their biggest spell on their side, and they lost all heroes. Tesla formed back up, pushed into mid lane, got that tier 3 tower, and now there's naked racks. At any time, when even if iCy do decide to win a fight and there's still a Queen of Pain or a Weaver up on the map, they can split push and even go for those racks. So iCy, they're almost in their grave. They're standing in their grave, and Tesla's got a shovel over their head, about to knock them out. Can iCy be able to pull themselves back out and win this game, or will they just continue, get buried deeper, and just fall into their grave and lose it? We will see Tesla now pick up the Aegis right now, and this is going to be even harder for iCy. They're thinking about trying it. They should know that Tesla's in here and their Roadstone will fall. They're going to rotate down in bottom lane. All the heroes are out of position. Mirana's not with them. We might see a death on this Lifesteal. Lifesteal gets scythed up. Auto attacks come flying out. Damage falling up. We've got a Nightmare and Brain Sap in seconds, and a few auto attacks will finish off that Lifesteal. So being caught out of position once again equals another death for iCy, and this is possibly another tier 3 and racks for Tesla.
Yeah, they'll certainly be looking to push out, especially since they do have the Aegis. It looks like they're going to try and... No, will they get pawned? Nope. There's the follow-up Ice Breath as well, and Juggernaut should back off at this point. He's got his allies behind, but yeah, I don't think they're quite able to engage just yet. They'll wait for these creeps to come back, and then they'll try to re-engage that. And they should get this Rax. I mean, iCy that does have the... They do still have the reverse polarity and whatnot. They don't have the macro power at the moment, but there's nothing, even with the reverse polarity. Just, there we go, there's the initiation from Kirk actually onto Magnus. We just have the treant follow-up of the ulti, but it's not really going to be enough at the moment, and Magnus is taking a ton of damage. He will fall. Juggernaut is just absolutely slaughtering the team at the back. His Aegis gets popped. There's a nice Fiend's Grip on the Jakiro. And the Mirana is currently the only one to survive. Lifesteal is back in here, but yeah, it's just a complete team wipe. And for what, the loss of a Bane, that's the GG.
And that Queen of Pain on the side of Tesla, Kirk, he played fantastically. He jumped in once he saw where that Magnus was, instantly surfed up that Magnus, and Magnus couldn't do anything. And then once Magnus was about to get back in there and started to cast his RP, it would have landed on 2, maybe 3 heroes. Kirk, once again, silenced that Magnus up, theoretically leaving that Magnus completely ineffective, and then they forced themselves in and then picked off a kill. It's a great play by Kirk, being able to completely shut down any chance of iCy turning around that fight in their own home territory. And fantastic game coming out by Tesla. iCy, a little bit of blunders made them fall behind early on, especially that tri-lane. Very aggressive tri-lane coming out of Tesla, finding those kills early on that Juggernaut. I mean, not that Juggernaut, on that Lifesteal, who didn't have that point in Rage, and then it just went downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla were able to capitalize on so many of those early kills, particularly in that tri-lane. I mean, Magnus did really well against the Weaver. I think the GG button as well. Magnus did considerably well against the Weaver, considering a melee hero up against range, but it wasn't enough. Priestess of the Moon wasn't doing too bad against the Queen of Pain, but Tesla were able to capitalize on a lot of early tier 1 tower kills, followed by a quick tier 2 as well, and it just basically snowballed from there.
And thank you for joining me in another cast. It's always a pleasure casting with you.
Thank you, it's always fun.
So, Tesla will be winning this game. They're moving from 30th to 27th on the Cybergamer Ladder, so they're moving up in the world. They will once again make their rivalry between the two teams. They've taken out the second game between the two teams, and they're happy about it. Thank you for joining us in another Dota 2 presentation. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much, guys, and as always, you can follow us at, you can follow me at twitch.tv/Xalorith, or youtube.com/Xalorith, and you can follow Yoshi at youtube.com/Yoshi. My stream is always in support of Child's Play, so if you can, please donate to them. You can do so via our Twitch channel. There's a giant green Child's Play logo. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link in the description, or you can visit their official website at childsplaycharity.org. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.